Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar about mastering LinkedIn automation. Before we start, I want to know, do you guys see my screen? Do you hear me? Do you see everything? Just type something in the chat if you can see us, if you can hear us. All good, seeing it. All right, great. I see some people already using emojis. All good. All right, then we're going to start this webinar about mastering LinkedIn automation right now. My name is Nicholas. I am the CMO of Uptrust. It means that I really like talking about marketing. I also make sure that all our marketing at Uptrust is being done well. I am very active on LinkedIn myself, so feel free to connect afterwards. This is also my email address. I'm very much into growth hacking, everything with automation. I love it. Also much into artificial intelligence, social selling, and Web3. I'm part of an agency called Uptrust. Maybe a lot of you know Uptrust already, but we do some pretty cool stuff. We do growth marketing, where we experiment for companies, we audit, we validate new products. We have our academy, where I teach a lot of people new stuff about marketing and growth marketing. Our product studio, where we build awesome digital products. And then if people need some additional people, we also staff digital experts within their team. That's the only sales talk that I'm going to do for this entire webinar. So now it's all pure value. Good news is I'm not here alone. I brought a very smart woman from Phantom Buster. Hi, Ellen.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Can you maybe talk a bit about yourself, Ellen?
Of
who
course.
You are?
Yeah, so as you said, my name is Ellen. I am an account manager here at Phantom Buster. So I've also included some contact info there. I'm going to get more into detail about actually what Phantom Buster is and what we can offer. But in terms of what I like to say, my interests are automation. I like to say work smarter, not harder. I think that there are a lot of tedious tasks that we all have to do, unfortunately, but with automating, we can have it done for us, right? I'm also super involved in lots of webinar trainings. So I'm again going to be talking about this later. We've got lots of interesting opportunities to learn more via this medium. And then on just a personal note, I'm an American living in Paris, not like Emily in Paris, though, some dreams, if only. So that's me. Happy to be here.
All right, welcome, Ellen from Paris. So why do we organize this webinar? First of all, traditional lead generation is not always working anymore. We don't see the same returns that we saw 1 year, 2 years ago. So the landscape is shifting. So we need to shift also the way that we are going to generate leads. We're talking about LinkedIn because LinkedIn is 3.5 times more efficient to generate leads than Meta. It's not me who sees this. It's HubSpot that did the research amongst a lot of different marketers. So very interesting platform to be at. Automation can help you save time, focus on more important things. If you can automate a lot of stuff, then you can focus on making sure that the people that are interested, that you give them a lot of time, that you give them valuable insights, that the messages you're sent are extremely well. So it gives you just some extra time that you can spend really on value-adding activities. And then the final one, of course, and the most important one, why we're here together with Phantom Buster. For years, Phantom Buster has been my personal favorite growth marketing tool. I've been talking about it everywhere about Phantom Buster, and from the start, I was in love with the tool, and it only became better and better. So I'm very happy that I'm here today with the people of Phantom Buster. Important, it's a super interactive webinar. So as you see, you have a chat part where you can talk, and you have a questions part where will you be able to ask questions. Some of the questions will be answered immediately by the team. Other questions, if they're a bit bigger, I will answer them here live in the webinar. So after the first part of the webinar, I will take some questions. Then after Ellen's part, we will take some questions. And then at the end, we will take some more questions. If there are too many questions that can't be answered all at once, we will answer them afterwards, and all of you will get then the answers. But very important, it's super interactive. So please, if you have a question, drop it in there. And all the other ones, they can just upvote, downvote questions, and so on. First question is already asked, will we get a recording? Yes, you will get a recording. The recording will be available immediately after the webinar. If you stay till the end, there are a couple of surprises that you can get. So it's definitely worth it to stay until the end. First part, before I hand over the mic to Ellen, is that I want to explain LinkedIn for B2B marketing, LinkedIn for lead generation. What are a bit the things that we can do and why exactly are we going to LinkedIn? Are we going to use LinkedIn as a platform? First of all, LinkedIn has a lot of members. They have more than 700 million members. Recently, they also announced that they reached that 1 billion members. So there's so many people that are on LinkedIn, and very interesting is that the people that are on LinkedIn, that a lot of them are the decision makers, that the people that need to be in that upper management, they are the ones that are definitely have a LinkedIn account and that we can reach through LinkedIn. These are some of the sources that indicate why LinkedIn lead generation is so valuable. The first one says that 79% of B2B marketers believe social media is efficient for lead gen, and that 80% of B2B leads come from LinkedIn. The source of this quote is LinkedIn themselves, so please take it with a grain of salt. I don't know if it's 100% true. The second statistic is the one that I referred to in the beginning, where HubSpot interviewed more than 5,000 B2B and B2C businesses. But also there you clearly see that LinkedIn is really, really the best social network for lead generation. So that's why we want to talk about how can we now leverage LinkedIn to do some lead generation and to generate future sales. I couldn't explain everything about LinkedIn, of course, in this webinar. We're going to talk a lot about automation and a lot about how Phantom Buster can help you with lead gen. But before we dive into very much how we can tactically set up all those things and have touch points on LinkedIn with our audience, I wanted to give you a bit of a strategic overview of my favorite options for lead gen on LinkedIn. And that are these four. Of course, there are more ways to generate leads, but these are the ones that I really love using. First one are connection requests and follow-up messages. This is one of the use cases that Ellen is also going to talk about, if I'm correct, Ellen, which you will show how to automate this entirely on Phantom Buster. But very important, if you do that, think about your messaging. Too many times I see connection requests like this, like, hey, hello, our agency is specialized in motion design starting at 150 euros. Or here's someone that wants to sell me something. I don't reply. I get another message, then I get yet another message. So this is super spammy. I don't know them, I don't trust them, and they want to sell me stuff. That doesn't work. Please, guys, if you automate connection request messages or just in general use connection request messages, please make sure you add some value and don't just be that stranger that comes up to you and tries to sell you stuff. These are some good examples. This is something, a Dutch example, so I will translate it along the way, where this guy sent me an email and said, hi, Nicholas, I think we're both in growth. So I think it's interesting to connect. He started out with something like, we have something in common. We're the same. We have similar interests. And then he wants to give me something. We started the sales tool. I would like to give you beta access, no strings attached. If you give me your mail address, I will add you. So I did it, and then he nicely followed up. So this was really showing we have stuff in common. I want to give you something. He was not selling out to me. Of course, afterwards, he followed up and tried to sell me his tool, but that was great because I got something for free first. This is another example. This is an example from Phantom Buster, an example that they used in the past, where again, you start with referencing something that you have in common. They were both at the Extraction Summit. This is a technique that I use a lot as well. I just extract all the attendees of a specific event. And then I say, you were on my list of people to meet, but I didn't see you. And then I hear Jules will talk about their needs, like not, I just want to sell you Phantom Buster. No, I know you guys at Swapcart, that's the company name, have big scraping needs, and we do it pretty well. And then he even included some companies that actually are clients of Phantom Buster. Then call to action, talk about it. This is also a very good connection request message. You show, this is why I talk to you. Here, I want to give you something, or I want to show that I understand your problems. Let's talk. Very, very good example. So if you are going to listen to Ellen's part about connection request messages and automating that, really think about these 5 parts. Make sure that your connection request is brief and concise. Make it to the point. Don't talk too much about yourself. Marketing is a battle for attention. Phantom Buster is just a weapon that can help you win that battle, but you need to make sure that your messaging is super sharp. Reference to something, show that you have stuff in common, explain them why you're reaching out. It's about not you, not them, it's about us. How can we help you? How will this look like? Make sure there's a call to action. Let's talk, check out this webinar, I will invite you, whatever, and be different. Don't be vanilla like the rest, don't be sales like the rest. Try to put a bit of your own personality in there. People will see your connection request message, they will maybe laugh, they will remember it, they will share it to people, and that's how you really break through the noise and make sure you have a very good connection request. Ellen, is there something that you want to add that you see from successful Phantom Buster campaigns, that's other stuff that that people should think about when having this kind of connection requests?
No, I think those are great tips, and they're important to keep in mind when we get on later to AI phantoms and how to actually use all of these tips using AI. So I like this lead into. So thanks for that.
Nice. Very curious about that. Second one is also one that hundreds of you guys came through, the LinkedIn event. That's a really nice feature that LinkedIn now offers, that you can create an event on LinkedIn and that you can then link that with your other tools. Because you saw if you then registered on LinkedIn, you were automatically here registered in Livestorm, and then you got the invite. But the play that I really love doing there is that if I create the event, then you check the checkbox of use a LinkedIn registration form. And then the nice thing is, if people then say, I will attend, then this will pop up. There will be this kind of form that's pre-filled with their LinkedIn information. They press submit and you get all that info. And that is then pushed to, in my case, to HubSpot and to Livestorm. The nice thing is that you can use the invite function. And with the invite function, you can invite people from your first degree network. So I think that's a case that I will talk about later as well, how we did that with Phantom Buster. But that's really nice to just, these people that have seen your content on the feed, that you've been passively nurturing for weeks, months, that you now invite them to a webinar, they get this notification, and if they click on accept, this form opens. Really, really love that for lead gen. Third one, of course, is social posts, being present on LinkedIn, posting there quite often, making sure that your audience knows who you are, getting them to vote on specific polls because you can see what they actually voted for. If you're going to leverage this technique on LinkedIn of making sure that people see you, use the right post formats. The algorithm changes quite often, but there are some things that we see that have better reach than others. The benchmark here is a text post with one single image. That's the standard. We see there it has 1x reach. A format that I really love using are these document posts. That you create a PDF with some insights. People can click through it. People can read it. They have 2.2 to 3.4 times more reach. Polls are very good as well, especially because you can see what people voted. Here I asked, like, which growth masterclass would you like to follow? A lot of people said here AI for marketing or LinkedIn social selling. Then all the people that voted on my poll, I can follow up with them personally because I get that info of who voted what, and then using automation, of course, send them messages to start let the conversation go. The worst post types, these are the ones that you want to avoid as much as possible. Of course, you cannot always do it. Is this celebrate an occasion one? Like the moment you start a new position, you got a new job, like if LinkedIn gives you this opportunity to do the celebrate an occasion. But if you compare that to yourself, just taking a picture of yourself at your new job and saying, hey, got a new job, that will perform almost double as good as compared to having this celebrate an occasion. LinkedIn also doesn't like that you use external links in your LinkedIn post, because of course people leave the platform then. I'm not saying you shouldn't use it. I say you should try to minimize your links in there and maximize the content that you just create on LinkedIn purely. And then the final part of one of my favorite lead gen options is paid advertising. And in paid advertising, just be smart to use it because LinkedIn can get expensive quite quickly. So make sure that you use the right formats in your ads. Make sure that you're also optimizing for the right things and use retargeting ads for people that shown prior interest to push them deeper in the funnel. So don't just set up ads to a cold audience where you ask people to book a demo. That's way too harsh. That doesn't work at all. Make them warm. Start with some video ads where you talk about the problem, where you maybe show some testimonials. What I then love doing is retargeting those with lead ads. So I get their email address so I can take it on my own channels. And then I do some more retargeting ads deeper down the funnel. So this is very basic framework, but this can help you to save tons of money on LinkedIn instead of just giving them all your money and letting it go to campaigns that won't convert. That was a bit of an intro, a first intro to Phantom Buster, so to LinkedIn lead generation. I think this is the strategy, the least amount of strategy that you need to understand before we can really talk about this automation and to use these kind of principles in automations. I will quickly see if we have any questions that we need to answer. Then Carmen says here, is there a way to automate the action of sending event invites? Yes. There is. I don't think it will be part of the demo today, Ellen.
No, I'm not going to showcase that particular one, but we do have a Phantom that is able to do that. But I think Marina already sent you the link in the response. But what I do show you today, I think if you understand what I show you today, you'll be able to apply the same concept to this particular Phantom as well. Yes.
Yeah. And at the end, I will show some use case of stuff we did at Uptrust, and that is actually one of them with my screenshots, how I set it up. Perfect. So Mark said, if a contact shares or post for an event, that will not work, as the people registering will not be first-tier contacts. Of course, it works, definitely. Everyone can register for your event. But what I meant is that if you click the invite functionality, you can at that moment only invite your first-degree network. So then the people that you can select to invite is your first degree. But if you share it, they can also invite their own people. They can also just attend. If they see your post on the timeline, they can just click the event and attend.
Yes, absolutely. And we're also going to be talking about strategies to expand that network. So yes, technically you can only directly invite the people already in your network. So in order to get around that, you just create a bigger network, right? So that's something we will be addressing as well.
Exactly. A good connection percentage on LinkedIn. I see that Axel is already typing there. I guess that you guys have a better overview on what is a good connection percentage, what you see.
I'm going to let Axel answer that one because I think it really depends on your industry and on how big of a network that you already have and how active you already are on LinkedIn. So we can talk about that again in terms of expanding your network and expanding your engagement. But something that we do love to say is that the more that you are on LinkedIn and the more that you automate on LinkedIn, the more you'll be able to. So it might be a bit of a slow start, but the more that you grow that network, the better it's going to be, the higher the success rate.
Yeah, definitely. All right. And the other one is here, a very technical question. And I see that someone from your team already answered that. So Ellen, I will hand over the screen to you.
Awesome. Thanks. All right. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Looks good. Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for that great introduction, Nicola. I think all of the strategies that you mentioned are going to be really important to keep in mind when we talk about how we're actually going to be automating all of these tasks. So definitely keep all of those strategies in mind. But what I want to take everyone through today is I'll be giving you a general introduction to, first of all, what is Phantom Buster? For those of you who are not familiar with the tool, totally fine. At the end of this webinar, you'll be ready to go, ready to start automating. So I'll be describing the difference between phantoms and flows if you don't know already. We're also obviously going to be doing a deep dive into LinkedIn automation. I'll be showing you how you can actually manage all of your new LinkedIn leads directly on Phantom Buster. And then last but not least, we will be talking about AI optimization. So basically putting everything into use with that AI superpower. So first things first, what is Phantom Buster? Phantom Buster is an automation tool. So we have a catalog of over 130 different phantoms and flows that you have access to as soon as you sign up for that 14-day free trial or to any of our paid subscribers. So this is just a screenshot here, an example of what our Phantom catalog looks like. As I said, and I'm going to say again and again, we do have over 130 different phantoms available to you. So what is a phantom? A phantom is a bot that is able to automate a single kind of action for you on your behalf. So that action might be sending connection requests on LinkedIn, or it might be scraping followers on Twitter or scraping followers on Instagram. We have so many options, truly. So that's what a phantom is able to do, whereas a flow essentially is multiple phantoms combined into one, where it will carry out an entire automated sequence for you on your behalf. So when you set up a flow, a single flow will have multiple phantoms working behind the scenes to do the entire campaign for you. And I'm going to be showing you several different options. Obviously, I can't show you all 130 plus phantoms and flows today, but that's something that you can definitely explore with that free trial. So we will be sharing the slides to this presentation at the end. I've included a lot of hyperlinks within these slides. So there's the first one there, sign up for the free trial. Fun news to share is that this is perfect timing for you all if you have not yet started with Phantom Buster, because actually starting next week, we're going to be offering a Black Friday discount promo deal. Depending on the plan that you subscribe to, you could have anywhere from 30 to 44% off. So excellent timing. If you sign up today or within the next 2 weeks, you'll have plenty of time to test out everything that I'm going to show you and then sign up and still take advantage of that Black Friday deal.
Is it also valid for people that want to upgrade their subscription if I want to have some extra Phantoms and time?
Yes. So basically every upgrade will be included in the deal. Yes. So it has to be an upgrade to be included in the deal. But yes. Great question. So some of the flows that I wanted to highlight for you all, these are three very popular, very effective LinkedIn particular flows. I'm actually going to be taking you through the setup of one of them, my personal favorite. But just to give you an example of the breadth of what's possible using different flows, we have there on the left-hand side, the LinkedIn search to lead connection flow that does exactly what it says it does. So it starts with a LinkedIn search. You give this flow the parameters of a particular search of leads that you're interested in on LinkedIn, and it's going to scrape the results of that search for you. It's going to send connection requests on your behalf from your LinkedIn for you, and then it's going to track whether or not those requests have been accepted. So that's pretty cool for that first one, the LinkedIn search to lead connection. The next one, the LinkedIn outreach flow, does something very similar. It just has a different starting point. So again, one of the reasons why we offer so many different phantoms and flows is because we recognize that all of you have different starting points. Maybe you have some leads already and you're just interested in engaging with them, or maybe you're starting from scratch. You have 0 leads, so you need to find them first and then engage with them. So having so many different phantoms and flows allows you to truly customize based on your automation needs, based on your automation use cases. So for this particular example, the LinkedIn outreach flow does something very similar to the last one I just described. It just has a different starting point. So it starts directly with those LinkedIn profiles, and then it's going to send them connection requests on your behalf, and again, track whether or not they have accepted that request for you. And then the final flow there on the right-hand side that I'm actually going to demo for you live in just a second is my favorite because it's the most powerful. It does the most work for you. So the LinkedIn search to lead outreach basically, again, starts with that LinkedIn search. You tell it exactly which leads you're interested in gathering. It's going to scrape those results. It's going to send connection requests to those results. It's going to track whether or not they have accepted them. And then the best part is that it can send up to 3 follow-up automated messages. So I'll show you in a second exactly what that looks like, but you can determine when you want that follow-up sent. So 1 day after the first request, 2 days, 10 days, whatever timing works for you. And as soon as that person does reply or does accept, they will automatically be taken out of the flow. So that means the flow is smart enough that it's going to do the automation for you for as long as you need it. But as soon as that person starts responding and you would like to respond as a human and not as the flow, and actually respond based on what they said to you, it will be taken out of the flow for you to then follow up as a human. Awesome. So now I'm going to go ahead and actually show you live exactly what this would look like within the setup of a Phantom. So I'm just going to hop on over. Here we are on my personal top secret Phantom Buster dashboard. So I've got lots of Phantoms running currently at the moment, but what I'm going to do is show you our Phantom catalog. So if we go here to solutions and then flows, I want to show you the LinkedIn search to lead outreach flow, exactly how it works. So as I've mentioned many times, we've got many different phantoms and flows. You can search for them directly here in the search bar. You can use all of the filters on the side to help you find the one that you need. If you're unsure about which phantom or flow you might need, go ahead and click that more button, and it's going to take you to an overview page for that particular phantom or flow that's going to tell you everything you need to know about that given phantom. So the kind of input data it's going to need in order to give you the desired output, all of the tutorials, recommended best practices, that sort of thing. But you're getting a live demo here, so you don't even need to read that. So we're going to go ahead and click use this flow. All right, so bear with me. This is going to be potentially the most complicated part, but I promise if you understand how to set up one phantom, then you'll be able to apply this principle to all of our phantoms and flows, and you'll be able to automate quite seamlessly. So one of the first things that you're always going to have to do is you're going to have to connect your Phantom and Flow to the network on which you would like to automate. So in this case, it is LinkedIn. So all I have to do is click the Connect to LinkedIn button, and voila, I have already populated this Phantom with my session cookie. Now, if you're just getting started and you have not yet installed the browser extension, instead of the Connect to LinkedIn button, you will instead have a button that invites you to install our browser extension. Very easy, it's just a 2-click browser extension. Once you've done that, you'll see exactly what I see, that Connect to LinkedIn button to give you the session cookie. So for those of you wondering, what is a session cookie? No shame whatsoever. A session cookie, well, basically every single time you log into any network, such as LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, a cookie is created that is then valid for the session of time that you are logged into that account. Now that cookie is going to expire naturally every couple of months or every time that you are disconnected or logged out of the account. And then when you re-log in, a new cookie is generated. So the Phantoms and Flows are going to use that session cookie to connect on your behalf. So when I launch this flow in just a second, what it's going to be doing is it's going to be crawling LinkedIn on my behalf as me. Now, you don't have to worry about any security concerns because this does not give the Phantom any access to your LinkedIn password or anything of that nature. All it's doing is allowing the Phantom to briefly act as you on LinkedIn. So now that we've done that, we'll click save, and we're going to go ahead and tell the Phantom what exactly we would like it to search on our behalf. So let's say we want to connect with all of my new friends at Upthrust. So what I can do actually is just hop right over to LinkedIn, and I'm going to do a quick search for Upthrust. And let's use all of the filters available to us. Now, if this were a real use case, I would recommend truly using all of the filters possible to create the most niche, tailored, specified search for the exact kind of leads that you want. But this is a demo. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. So once I've created that search, all I'm going to do is copy and paste this search URL and give it to the Phantom. So now in a few moments, when I launch the Phantom, what it's going to do is it will actually go to this particular search of Upthrust people working at Upthrust, and it's going to scrape those results for me on my behalf. We click save and we move on to the next step. So here, because this is a flow that actually is not only going to scrape those search results, but also send connection requests to all of the employees at Upthrust, what I want to do with that connection message is have something personal, right? So keeping in mind all of the strategies that Nicola already outlined for us. I'm not going to spend time writing it out just now, but all of those strategies that Nicola already outlined for us would highly recommend that we keep those in mind and we personalize the perfect message. We can use some placeholders here to make sure it's even more personalized. So for example, obviously, I want to include their first name. Maybe I want to include what company they're working in, that sort of thing. I can go ahead and use these tags that are listed at the bottom here that you can see. And now what it does is when this flow is sending a connection request on my behalf, it's going to, using this tag, populate it with the, in this example, first name of that person I'm sending a connection request to. So that's a great way to make sure that not only are your automated messages personalized, but keeping in mind all those strategies that Nicola also mentioned, we can keep it interesting and hopefully they'll accept that connection request. But let's say they don't accept the connection request. In that case, that's why maybe we want to send a few follow-up messages because maybe they're not sure. They're kind of like, who's this Ellen? Did she really do a webinar with us? We don't know. So in that case, I want to send them maybe a few more messages, again, without being spammy, keeping in mind all of the strategies that Nicola outlined, also using all of the personalization tags. And what you can do as well, you can attach.
These follow-up messages, they're sent only if they accept, right? Because you're just doing follow-ups to the people that are accepted, and it's just if they don't reply.
Correct.
Okay. Because you said it a bit different, but maybe it was just me.
Oh, oops. Yeah, my bad.
To be clear for everyone, the follow-up message is only sent when they invite, but when they accept the invite, but they don't reply. Correct?
Exactly. Correct. Yeah. Thank you for that. Didn't want to be confusing. So yes, it will be sent after the invites have been accepted, which yes, it does say within the setup of this Phantom. So thanks for keeping me right about that. Now, but let's say, of course, they don't reply to your message and you want to get that conversation going. That's when maybe you want to send a follow-up message. So again, keeping in mind all of those strategies with all of those tips about what you actually want that message to contain, we can determine when we want that message sent. So there's actually a drop-down menu that doesn't show when I share my screen, but you can choose, as you can see, how many days you want this message sent after the first one. Similarly to another message, you customize it to exactly what you want, and then you tell the Phantom and Flow exactly how many days you would like it sent, so on and so forth. You can do this for up to 3 follow-up messages. Now, as we said, as we clarified, they are only going to be sent if the candidate, if the profile has not responded. So as soon as they respond, either to that first, second, third message, they're automatically going to be taken out of the flow. That means if you schedule all 3 follow-ups, but the person responds after that first follow-up, that person will no longer receive the second and third follow-up. So you don't have to worry about that looking spammy or looking automated. It's going to look very personalized and human-like. So once we've done that, we have the perfect messages, click save. Oh, it's not saving because I didn't actually write anything in the message, but let's just pretend I wrote actual messages. Then what you need to do is enable this flow. So what that will do is it will actually kickstart the process. So as I mentioned before, that process includes scraping all of those results, sending them connection requests, tracking whether or not they've accepted, and then potentially sending up to 3 follow-up messages. Of course, because that includes multiple steps, if I were to launch it right now, you're not going to see a lot of data right away. So what I want to do instead is show you potential data of what it would look like once this flow has already been enabled and working behind the scenes on your behalf. So for all of the LinkedIn Phantoms and Flows that you have running, that you have launched, that you have enabled, all of that data is also going to be gathered here in our LinkedIn Leads page. So this is actually a relatively new feature that we're very excited about, because this is where all of your LinkedIn leads can now be gathered in a single database. So this means that even if you're using your Phantom Buster account to automate on behalf of all of your team members, maybe you're a team of 5 salespeople and all 5 of you are using different Phantoms on your dashboard to automate different tasks, and all of those leads from all 5 of you, all 5 of your separate networks, are now going to be gathered in a single database here on Phantom Buster, your LinkedIn leads page. That being said, all of the information is here, but of course, maybe for different campaigns, different use cases, you want to filter it out and find the perfect list based on, how you're going to actually move forward with connecting or engaging with some of these leads. So in that case, you can use the filter feature to create the perfect list based on lots of different conditions. Again, there's a drop-down menu here that you can't see when I share my screen, but you'll just have to trust me on that or test it out yourself. But you can choose from a very long drop-down menu of exactly the perfect filter that you want to create that perfect list. So if I show you an example of a previous list that I created of all of my colleagues at Phantom Buster. So I created a list using that filter. Here I can also click on each individual lead. Maybe I want to edit some of this information because maybe, sometimes people have emojis in their name and you want to edit that out. So when you send an automated message, it's not going to include the emoji, that sort of thing. We're also going to have the AI enrichment data here as well for each particular lead, which I'll get into in just a second. But the exciting part as well about creating these perfectly filtered lists now in this huge LinkedIn database directly here on your Phantom Buster page is once you've created that perfect list, you can start to enrich or engage with that list. So that can be useful if maybe you've gathered 1,000 new leads for one particular campaign, and then the next campaign, you're going to use some of those leads from the old one, and you're going to get new leads using different filters. And based on all of those new leads, now you want to engage with them in a new way. So you create that list and you choose either engage, and you can select from any of these phantoms depending on what your particular automation needs are, or similarly, engage. I just said engage, enrich or engage. You all know what I mean. All right, so let's hop back over to the presentation because there are a couple more things that I want to talk about that are easier done via slides. So basically, the flow that I just showed you demonstrated how to find leads if you're starting from scratch, if you truly don't have any leads just yet and you're doing the most traditional lead generation use case, which starts from a LinkedIn search. But let's say that you've exhausted every single search filter that you could possibly use and you want more, right? You need more leads. In that case, we recommend that you get a little creative with how you find those leads. So I've listed some examples here for how you can do that. Nicola also talked about this a bit before, but we do have different phantoms that can actually automate these tasks for you. So for example, there, the LinkedIn post likers export, if maybe you want to connect with a lot of people in Nicola's, in his network, because he's an industry leader, he's an influencer on LinkedIn, and he's posting all these cool things, and hundreds of people are liking his posts. Well, most likely all the people liking his posts are probably interesting to you and your use cases, right? So in that case, you can go ahead and extract all of those people liking a particular person's post. Similarly, for LinkedIn companies, employees export, you can export based on companies directly on LinkedIn. You can also filter for maybe just the decision makers or maybe only people in the marketing team, whatever your filters might be, depending on your needs, you can do that using that phantom. We also have the LinkedIn event guests export. So for all of you who signed up for this webinar via the LinkedIn event, most likely you're all interested in LinkedIn automation and AI. So maybe you have lots in common, in which case you could actually export the people who are attending this event and you can send them personalized messages. The last example I wanted to tell you all is the LinkedIn group members export. If maybe in your industry there are certain groups on LinkedIn that have people that are posting regularly or people who are interested in that particular topic, if they're in that group, most likely they'll be open to receiving a message from you, engaging with your content. So that's another great way to export new potential leads. All right, so finally, let's get to the best part. I want to talk about AI-inspired lead generation. So as I've mentioned a million times now, we have so many different options for phantoms and flows for how to automate all of your different tasks. Now, we've just introduced in the last couple of months new AI phantoms as well to really boost your game and make all of that automation even better and make sure that specifically those personalized messages are actually original, unique, and the person that you're reaching out to really thinks that it's you who wrote it and they're not just gonna be like, oh, it's just a bot who's writing me, right? We want it to make it be as human-like as possible. So the two AI phantoms that I wanted to highlight for you all today, first one, the AI LinkedIn Profile Enricher. This one I find super useful because it can help you stay organized and synthesize all of your leads. So when we were looking at the leads page, for example, let's say that we have thousands of leads, and even though we've created a list based on certain filters, there are just too many leads with those filters to go through, sift through. I like to use this phantom to, using AI, create a summary for me and enrich that data for me to tell me exactly which leads are doing what and to organize myself a little bit in that way. The other really exciting AI phantom that I'm actually going to show you live in just a second is the AI LinkedIn message writer. So this one does just that. It uses AI to craft the perfect personalized message. And once you've done that, you can use that message and send it in different phantoms, either the auto connect phantom or the message sender phantom. So the options are endless. Just to give you an example of how that whole flow, how that whole sequence might actually work. Let's say, again, you're starting from scratch. You want to create a search on LinkedIn to do that lead generation on LinkedIn. Then you're going to scrape all the profile data using this flow, the LinkedIn search to profile data flow. So now you've got in your leads database, you've got a great start of a bunch of interesting leads, but you want to make sure that they're going to actually accept your connection request or respond to your message. So keeping in mind all of those tips, again, that Nicola outlined at the beginning, we can now use the AI LinkedIn message writer to, again, using those tips, craft that perfect message, and then put that message directly into the auto connect phantom to send that message on our behalf. So now I'll just go ahead and show you exactly what that looks like. If we hop back over to my dashboard, here we are on the my LinkedIn leads database page. So let's say that for this particular example, let's say that I'm interested in connecting with Phantom Buster employees. Maybe I didn't actually work at Phantom Buster and I want to reach out to them because I'm interested in working at Phantom Buster, or I'm in the same industry, whatever it is. I've scraped their data, I have it here, and now I want to use AI and actually create the perfect message to make sure that they're going to accept my connection request. So now that I've created this list, what I can do is, oops, not engage. We want to enrich with the list. We're going to use the AI LinkedIn Message Writer Phantom. All right, so here we are again in the setup of this Phantom. It takes us directly to the second step of the Phantom because the first one was automatically populated, but I'm just gonna go back to show you all how this works. So because I came from the LinkedIn leads page and I selected this particular list, that means all of those employees are now going to be AI enriched using this new Phantom. Something I forgot to mention earlier that's really exciting about those lists on the database is that they are dynamic. So that means as long as you have new Phantoms and flows gathering more and more data that's being fed into that database, as long as they fit the parameters of those filters of each list, that means the list as well is going to be continually updating. So in this case, I'm using the list feature for my input. However, there are other options if you don't want to use that, or maybe you already have a list of LinkedIn profile URLs, in which case you can already give your Phantom that list here. Or maybe you want to take the leads directly from another Phantom that you already used to scrape a bunch of leads, in which case you can select, again, from a drop-down menu, from the Phantoms that are currently on your dashboard. So when you do this, it takes the output data of that Phantom, in this case, this example that I just chose, and that output from this Phantom is now going to be fed into this new Phantom in the sequence as input. As I said, though, let's do it from lists. Click save, and here we go. Okay, so now we have to keep in mind that we need to give the Phantom the best prompt possible. It's only going to be as smart as we ask it to be, right? So we've got our GPT credits used, and now we're going to select a prompt. We have a couple of pre-prepared prompts for you. We've got connect based on a similar work experience, connect with anyone, recruitment, pitch your product, or create a custom prompt. So most likely you'll be doing this, create a custom prompt, where you need to outline exactly with as much detail as possible what kind of message you would like AI to craft on your behalf. But I want to keep it simple for you today, and I'm just going to show you how to connect based on a similar work experience. So here you can see it's a great example because it shows you, if you're creating your custom prompt, exactly how you should be crafting these kinds of messages. So you're going to tell the Phantom directly what you would like it to do. So for example, we have write this connection message based on the data that is fed to you, you being the AI Phantom, right? We give it context. We tell it how long the message should be. We tell it who I am, where I'm working. We give it, we tell it to write it in English. We give it some more content or tips for fun things, like must be written in a fun, casual way because I'm fun and casual, right? We give it an example. So you don't have to do all of this for your prompt. We have created this as an example to make sure that it creates the best prompt possible, but it's just a good thing to keep in mind when you're creating that custom prompt if you don't want to use this one. But for this case, we're just going to use this one. And in terms of the columns that we want to feed to GPT, to feed to this AI Phantom, we're going to select all LinkedIn leads data. That means that this AI-powered Phantom is going to take advantage of all the data that you already have in your LinkedIn leads database to create the best message based on the parameters that you've outlined here. So if we click save, and now we're going to tell it to, I'm just going to be super fast. I'm going to tell it to process just 2 leads to show you an example here. Save. We're going to go ahead and launch it. And it'll take just a second. And I can actually show you while we're waiting. Oh, it's truly going to be, yeah, it's already done. Look at that. See how fast that was? Amazing. Love that. So if we want, we can preview the results here, or we can go ahead and view them in the leads page again directly. So if I click here on my colleague Claire, again, we have all of the information already outlined here. And now we have AI enrichment. So this is the message that the AI Phantom just crafted for me. Love that. If I want to, I can go ahead and make any adjustments, whatever I want. We do recommend that you test this out a few times to really tailor the prompt to make sure that that AI Phantom is doing exactly what you want it to do. But now that we've done that, we've created those perfect messages. If I go back to a previous example of AI enriched Phantom Buster employees, you can see that AI enrichment is listed here now in the database. If we click engage with the list, I'm going to go ahead and use now this auto connect Phantom. Go ahead, connect to LinkedIn. And this is the part that I wanted to show you. So just like before, when I showed you how we can customize using these placeholders, you might notice we have a new placeholder now. We have an AI message. So that's all we have to do now that the previous AI Phantom has crafted that perfect message on our behalf. We can just use this, click save, and go on, launch the Phantom. I'm not going to do it now because I actually am already connected with all of my Phantom Buster employees. But if I were not, I would go ahead and launch this Phantom, and it would send connection requests on my behalf using that AI-generated, AI personalized message. All right, if we go back to the presentation. Awesome. That is all that I wanted to show you today. I recognize that that was a lot of information. I tried to condense as much as I could in a short period of time, but we do have some more resources here. As I've already mentioned, we do have a free trial, so definitely sign up for that so you can test it by yourself and then take advantage of those Black Friday deals starting next Monday, November 20th. I've also included some other links here. So Phantom Buster 101, it is a comprehensive onboarding, so much more detailed than what I just explained to you all in terms of having a great base foundation for how to use the tool. And then similarly, our webinar library has lots of different examples and upcoming events that you can get excited for and sign up for. So it looks like there were a lot of questions. Any, Nicola, that I should address right away?
There were so many questions, but your team was extremely active. So I think your team literally answered every question out there. So I don't think there's anything we need to tackle right now. So they all got the answers that they were looking for, and all the other stuff is definitely available on your resources. So it was very clear and very fun. Thanks, Ellen.
Awesome. Well, thanks to my team for handling all those questions. And I'll hand the mic back to you then.
You have an amazing team there. So before we round off this webinar, there are just some real cases that I want to show you, some real things that we've done with Phantom Buster to really do some lead generation. These are two of my favorite strategies. First one is the LinkedIn automated outreach for events, and the second one is the multi-channel outreach. So this was for a client that gives legal advice about wage policy. As a very high percentage of customers that stay, he noticed that word of mouth is very strong, but he wants to fill his webinars, his on-demand webinars, and he wants not to have too many leads, but he wants to have qualitative leads so that they really are the right people in his webinar. And what we did there is that we started to make a segmentation on Sales Navigator. So that's the paid version of LinkedIn. So Ellen showed you that you have some filters available on the free version. In the paid version, you have 30 different filters available. It's really, really nice. And what we do there is that we have a different follow-up strategy for our first degree and our second and third degree. Your first degree network, you can invite immediately to the event. The second and third degree, you need to send a connection request. The great news is that for both scenarios, I can use Phantom Buster. For the first scenario, when I make my segmentation in Sales Navigator, I can export them with Phantom Buster. I use the Sales Navigator search export. And what I then do is when I created my LinkedIn event and I made sure that the registration form is on, I use another Phantom called LinkedIn Event Inviter. I select the first Phantom as the input. So Ellen showed you that you can work with your list, but I really like to chain Phantoms together, that I just take the output of one Phantom and I use it as the input for another one. So then I could select here my Phantoms. There I selected the Phantom that I just did. And then I click save, and then it will automatically send these connection requests out. So sorry, the invites for the LinkedIn events. So that's really nice. It works completely automated, and these people get notifications that I invited them to my event. They just click accept, the form pops up, and I get all their information. So that's really, I love it. I love it a lot. The other option is they're not connected with you yet. So they're in your second or third degree network. First degree is your own connections. Second are the connections from your connections. And third degree is the connections of the connections of your connections. So it starts again, of course, with making my segmentation, but I select here for second and third degree. And then I use the Sales Navigator Auto Connect or some of the other examples that Alan just showed. And then you need to write an awesome message. Then you need to say, hey, first name, I see we both have a passion for security. On March 24th, we organize a webinar on cyber recovery. Would this be something for you or your colleague? Kind regards. Or here, I said, and you know how important it is to upskill yourself or team. This week, we organized 2 webinars. I would like to personally invite you. Can I send you the links? Like this kind of stuff, we can really automate sending this out. But then if someone replies that they want it, at that moment, we still need to intervene. Alan, I don't know if that is something that Phantom Buster is working on, that you are using GPT to analyze if they say yes or no, and then based on that, send out other follow-up messages. Is that something that's in the pipeline?
That is a great question that I do not have the answer to, but I can check.
You know when that's available, because I would love to test that. So this is then what I do then for my second and third degree network. So then I have my nice segmentation, and I have multiple ways to invite them to my webinars, to fill my events completely on autopilot. The second use case that I use a lot is where I try to combine multiple touch points with my clients. This is for a B2B furniture company. They wanted to have a lot of meetings for the sales reps so that the sales reps had warm introductions, had warm meetings with people. And what we did there is that we, of course, started with Sales Navigator. I make my target audience there. I make my segmentation on Sales Navigator. You need to optimize your profile because a lot of people have an extremely boring LinkedIn profile. And if you're going to connect with people, they're going to have a look at your profile. And if it's just all about yourself, or if your title is clearly sales, then they will probably not accept you or want to talk with you. So optimize your profile. What I then do is that I export all those people with the Sales Navigator search export. That's my first Phantom that I'm going to be using. And what I then do is in that first preparation phase week, I use this Sales Navigator target audience. This is, by the way, a new feature that's been launched this week, and it's available for a couple of users, not for everyone yet, but LinkedIn is rolling it out, that you can literally use your Sales Navigator target audience to target your ads towards, so that you know this is my audience that I'm going to connect with Phantom Buster, but now that exact audience I'm pushing ads towards, so that before I'm sending them a connection request, they've been seeing my ads for an entire week. And you're able to go here really for buy impressions, make sure that your frequency is high, they need to see you a lot. You're not interested in clicks at the moment, you're just wanting them to see it and wanting them to know what your company is about and what your value proposition is. This first week gives you some time to clean the database, because like it's nice, of course, that you can export leads, but your sales team is not gonna send out messages to people that are already clients, that maybe were clients that already you're talking with. That looks very amateuristic if you're sending them messages on LinkedIn like, hey, maybe we should talk because I don't know you, if you just met each other last week on a dinner, for example. So what I always do there is that I do a bit of a clean of a database, and I enrich it also with emails. Phantom Buster can also help you with that enrichment. Multiple tools are otherwise available to do so. And then the fun automation part starts. What I do different here than what Alan showed is that I'm going to follow these people. I'm not going to immediately connect with them. I would love following them, because then they get a notification, Nicholas is now following you on LinkedIn. And people are not used to that. People are used to these annoying connection requests with people that want to sell something. And now I'm just following them. I'm showing them like, oh, I'm interested in you. I'm following what you're doing. And then I have some other fun phantoms going, of course. Then I have a phantom going that is going to see if they come back to my profile. And if they come back to my profile to see who I am, then I'm going to send them a connection request. So all of that are based on phantoms that are chained together. And I use a bit of like Google Sheets magic in between to chain all of that together. But then the people that come back and check me out, those get a connection request. I'm limited to 100 connection requests per week, but the auto follow is not limited to 100 per week. you can do around 100 per day, I think. I don't know what's safe at the moment that you think are safe, but I tend to do 50, 60 per day with the autofollow spread over multiple launches. And then if that allows me to have a very big span, reach a lot of people. And the moment they come back, only when they check out my profile, I send them a connection request. What I additionally do, and that's not with Phantom Buster, but that's with another app that I really love, Lemlist. And I know that you guys also integrate with Lemlist. So I think that's a really good example as well. What I do there is that the people, the day after I send them an automated follow request with Phantom Buster, I send them an automated email sequence with Lemlist. So then that cold email is not that cold anymore. They saw my ads, they saw that I followed them on LinkedIn, and now I'm sending them emails. And then as a final thing I do is that if I see that they opened my email, but they didn't reply, so I know they saw the stuff that I was writing, again, I send them an automated connection request with Phantom Buster. So I can send that from Lemlist back to Phantom Buster. And then my final layer is I have some IP intelligence like Albacross that shows me which companies that are visiting my website, and the people that click on my emails and don't reply, those I push to a separate sheet where my salespeople are going to call them. Because I know there was something in the email that triggered them, but it was not enough for them to reply. We're just going to call them. And this is really my favorite B2B outreach flow. It combines so many things. It leverages the awesomeness of Phantom Buster in so many ways that would otherwise take me so much time. But instead of staying on LinkedIn, I like to add additional touch points. I like to add emails in there as well. And really all those different things, they really accelerate each other or make sure that the effect is amazing. So here are some examples of emails, some examples of ads. Like these are not the most beautiful ads that go for conversion, but I just want them to know this is my brand, this is my value proposition. I want you to see me because afterwards the connection requests are going to come. These are some real results. This is like people that really wanted the meeting, that really were interested. So it's a technique that works really well. And if you're able to get it right for one salesperson, you can super easily scale it to your entire sales organization. So those were my two favorite lead generation automations where I leverage the power of Phantom Buster. It's time for some final questions, Ellen. So let's see. I think that most questions are answered by your team again. Is there a question that you see that you would like to answer?
Great question. Yeah, big shout out to my team for handling all of these questions. But something that you just mentioned, and we did get a couple of questions about in terms of emails. Yes, we do have an email discovery feature as well built into many of our Phantoms. I did not showcase that just because we don't have time for everything, but it is possible and it's very easy to use. So with every Phantom Buster subscription, you have a certain amount of email discovery credits that you can use to look for professional, verified, and nominated emails. We also have integrations with technical partners such as Drop Contact, Hunter, and Synovio to use those algorithms as well to find those professional emails. So I totally agree that your flow that you suggested in terms of not only outreach on LinkedIn, but also email to make sure that it's not super cold, but you can still, even though Phantom Buster does not include email outreach, we do have email discovery. So you can use your Phantoms to auto connect and to scrape all of that data, enrich all of that data, get the email, and then another tool such as Lemlist or many, many others to then send those emails.
All right, great. Someone asked here how you clean the database to exclude actual clients or lost ones. If you extract those people and they come in a list at Phantom Buster, you can easily then go through that list and then delete the ones that you don't want. So that's an easy way to do it. For me, I usually do it manually. I go through it. Or if I export it to a Google Sheet, then I have another sheet with my clients and I do a bit of a VLOOKUP magic to then make sure that those are out there. Another question here from Louis. When is your 6-week bootcamp available again, Nicholas? Thanks for your IDs. My 6-week bootcamp is not going to be available this year anymore. Current wave is completely sold out. There's going to start another wave in Q1. If you're interested in joining, put yourself already on the wait list, because then the people that are on the wait list will get the invite first. And then I will keep you up to date when the next 6-week course is starting. So That was it for today. If you're ready for your first automation experiments, we're offering some cool stuff. You can ask some automation strategy sessions, and it's me and maybe someone from the Phantom Buster team that is going to give you a strategy session on how you can leverage Phantom Buster and automation for your organization. There are only 10 of these sessions available, so be quick if you want one of these sessions. The good news is that we also have some other masterclasses, which are also completely free, that explain of a lot of other phantoms that you can use. Those you can also request on this page with the same URL. Maybe if someone from the Phantom Buster team could drop this URL in the chat, then other people can super easily click on it. And then the final thing that you can do there is that you can, if you want more information about the Phantom Buster Black Friday deal, you can also indicate that there with a checkbox that you get an email the moment that the Black Friday deal is live. So if you want either a free strategy session or get access to the masterclass videos or get early access to the Black Friday deal of Phantom Buster, fill in your information there and we'll make sure to keep you up to date to the moment that, that all of this is available. That was it for today, and I would really like to thank you, Ellen, for being here today. It was really nice to host this webinar together with you. I hope that the people here online, that they enjoyed this webinar. I hope this was interesting for you guys. I hope you learned something. I found it really, really interesting. So thank you so much for being here, Ellen.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting us to be here. Super happy. Thanks to everyone who joined. It looks like we've had quite a lot of people, and thanks for the enthusiasm, everyone in the chat. We love when it's interactive.
Indeed, we do. And the recording will be immediately available. So if you found this interesting, feel free to share it with your colleagues, share it with your friends. And then if you have any questions, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or with Ellen, and we are very happy to answer all your questions. Have a great evening or afternoon or morning, wherever that you are, and hope to see you again soon. Ciao, everyone.
Bye, everyone.